Hi Leo, welcome to your April 2024 Astro-Tarot with me, Raphael from Reydiant Reality. It's an absolute pleasure to have you. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for joining me. Quick note, these readings are for your sun, moon and ascendant sign. If you're only going to watch one, make sure it's for your ascendant sign. It's going to be that much more accurate for you on that day-to-day level. With that said, remember these are general readings. You should always use your own discernment. I am using whole sign tropical Western astrology for those of you that would like to know. And before we start, as always, I would like to bless my decks of cards with all forms of love, light, peace, prosperity and abundance. And I pray that the messages that come through are ultimately clear and concise. They help us all on our paths to our highest vibrational good. So let's get into it. The first transit that I want to take a look at is Mercury on the 2nd of April is going to go into a retrograde, right, in the sign of Aries. It starts its retrograde at 27 degrees, goes all the way back to conjunct the North Node. If you haven't seen my Mercury Matters talk with Frank Clifford, there is a link for that in the description box below. Make sure you check it out. We had a lot of fun. We really sort of got to a good few ideas about Mercury and how it might show up. And we actually mentioned this Mercury retrograde season. So check that out. Anyway, Mercury for you is the ruler of your money houses, both your second house of money, finances and resources, but it also rules your 11th house, which is the gains that you get from your business and your career. So this Mercury retrograde might have an element about that gets you to sort of reconsider the work and your work life and also the value that you offer and create and put out into the world. So you might be rethinking your educational practices or pursuits at this time, deciding that more professional training is kind of needed or required in some way. Because this is happening in the sign of Aries, Aries occupies your 9th house, which is all about higher education, professional training, higher learning, your philosophies on life, your belief system and structure, your religious beliefs, your spiritual beliefs. In ancient astrology, this was called the house of God. So, to me, the way that I interpret that nowadays is this is your connection to the cosmos in some way, shape or form. This is a great time to connect with old coaches, old mentors, or even just people that you looked up to. Maybe people that you used to study with are coming back into your life at this moment in time. Remember, Mercury is about communication, right? It's also about commerce and interaction and communication. It's about listening and speaking and also what's on your mind. So all of these things that I've mentioned so far could very much be on your mind at this time. The 9th house is publishing, broadcasting, books, TV, blogs, all of that kind of stuff is 9th house. It's 9th, 11th and 3rd house stuff actually, if we really get into it. But the 9th house is publishing, it's books, it's how we can reach the public on a grand scale, right? And so this could also be that you are maybe defining or rethinking travel plans in some regard. The 9th house is a place of your belief system, as I mentioned. So this could be that you're rethinking or likely releasing some idea about your career or possibly even your financial outlook that allows you to go above and beyond what is necessary at this time but feels like the right step for you. So it's like, I like this for lucky breaks that, you know, that financially do sort of what is needed or required for you at the moment. You might find that even though it's a retrograde, remember, because it's in a fire sign, it's actually trine to your ascendant, right? Which means, and the 9th house is a very lucky space, it's also trine to Sagittarius energy, which is also a fire sign. And so whatever planets you've got in the sign of Sagittarius, they're going to be lit up. Even though it's a retrograde, this is positive energy because it's in a trine. So this is like an opportunity potentially comes, maybe not an opportunity, but a communication comes up that harkens back to the past in some way, but is actually beneficial for the now. So I'm loving this. I really like this as well for being able to reframe or maybe even spiritualize in some regard your financial outlook. For this, you have the King of Pentacles. Yes, baby. With the World card. Well, holy shiznay. Okay, so look, although technically, in fact, I'm not going to go down that route. The King of Pentacles, aside from being a person, which I'm going to talk about in just a moment, The King of Pentacles represents things like pay rises. It represents things like promotions, reaching the height of your game. It's not the Magician, but it is something that really elevates you on a very practical level. You've got this right next to the World card, which is always a level up energy where you step onto or into a brand new plateau in some regard. So this could be very powerful for you. And on top of that, you've got the Page of Pentacles, which really, aside from, you know, being new studies, right? This is the study card. In fact, it was one of them anyway. This is new studies, new apprenticeships, new information that you're taking on board. And you're doing this in a way where you kind of know that you're just sowing the seeds right now. This could be that you're speaking to a financial advisor or interacting with a financial institution in some regard. And this is that you're getting fantastic, practical, real world results. I love this because it's like whatever is moving here, it's moving along the lines of success. Now, that's one layer of this. The other thing is the King of Pentacles would usually be an earth sign male, Taurus, Capricorn, Virgo. Coupled with the World card, this would usually be somebody that is older than you, somebody that's more learned. This is a ninth house transit, so it could be a coach or a guru, somebody that has all of those real world knowledge, skills, expertise, etc. that you want or that you need in some regard. So I am loving this for you. I think this is phenomenal. More importantly, or not more importantly, but just alongside that, because the World card is Saturn, not only is this person older and wiser than you, but they are very likely to be a Capricorn or have Capricornian energy about them. And this person could be really teaching you things on a scale or on a level or at a depth that you hadn't really, maybe you haven't had this from elsewhere, and it just absolutely gels. I am in love with this triplet. I really, really am. For those of you that know, I am, obviously, you know, you are my ascendant brothers and sisters, so I'm a Leo ascendant. For those of you that don't know, now you know, right? So whether you're cross-watching, whether this is for you and one of your big 3 placements, this is fucking fantastic, right? I am totally here for this. Oh God, there's so much else that I could say, but obviously I can't for time. We're already 7 minutes into this video, and unfortunately people seem to switch off after like sort of 10-15 minutes, so I have to try and keep them twee, because otherwise it messes up the algorithm and yada yada yada. Anyway, that's on the 2nd of the month. So again, for those of you that are panicking or worrying, I always put the transits and the degrees and all of that stuff in the description box of the video. So if ever I don't mention them or I forget to, you'll be able to find them there. All right. So on the 8th of the month, we've got the new moon solar eclipse. Where are you, Luna? All right, there she is. We've got the moon coming into its conjunction. So when the moon and the sun get together, mum and dad, the celestial god and goddess, when they align, that's what creates a new moon. But this one is close to the North Node. So this is like a new moon, right? A fresh start or a beginning on steroids, because it's an eclipse, and it's a North Node solar eclipse, which means something is being seeded into your life now in a very big way, but you're not going to be clear on all of the details just yet. So this eclipse is in your 9th house, the same space as that Mercury retrograde, all of this stuff that you're rethinking. This is a wonderful place for anything because it trines your ascendant, right? Which means even though it's an eclipse, your access to this energy might be that much more palpable and potentially that much easier to use and to digest. It's the sun, right? The sun, your ruling planet, right? Because the sun rules Leo, and this eclipse is happening at the most exalted degree of the sun, which means and this is where the sun loves to be more than any other space in the chart. This is powerful for you, Leo, right? While this is an eclipse, it's a fresh start that allows you to plant seeds of intention towards good things in the mind, right? First of all, we don't plant seeds, we don't set intentions, we don't move on things in the real world at the time of an eclipse, because it's a wild card energy. You just don't know what you're going to get. On top of that, the other layer of this is that there's a Mercury retrograde in the sky, right? So the rule of thumb is if you're born under a Mercury retrograde, go after it, launch new things, get out into the world. You can do what us mere mortals are unable to do, right? But if you aren't born under a Mercury retrograde, this is a time to really pay attention. The 3 days before, the day of, and the 3 days after. That's the transit window that I call for an eclipse. And the reason eclipses are so important for Leo people is because they always involve the sun, and you are ruled by the sun, right? So we don't use this for manifesting. We don't necessarily set intentions per se, but we just keep the focus towards what we would like, and we'll let the universe bring what it's likely or wanting or needing to. So what this says to me is that you're getting to see legal matters and proceedings evolve in a really favorable way for you, because the ninth house is legal matters and legal proceedings. You might also be getting favors and recognition from teachers, mentors, or coaches in some way. I really like this for the fact that you might find some profound sense of healing through your spirituality or religious practices, because the ninth house is all of those things. But more importantly, this eclipse is conjunct the Chiron, conjunct the asteroid Chiron, right? Chiron is a centaur. It's half man, half beast, which effectively so are human beings, right? We're the bridge between Earth, the material realm, and heaven, right? We have a body and we have a spirit, and our mind is what connects the two. Now, and that's how I've always seen it, right? Is that the human being is the bridge between earth and heaven. This is one of the reasons, no matter what we think of people or how unevolved we think they are, everybody is special in some regard, right? Now, a personal wound around higher education, university, studies, religion, spirituality, all of these things might now allow you to transcend a wound from the past around all of these things in a way that feels divinely guided. So I'm totally here for this. Look, we've got the Ace of Pentacles. You better get this money. You've got the Temperance card. That's the healing, right? On a really visceral level. And with the Ten of Swords, I think this transit, right? I think this new moon, because remember, a new moon is a dark moon, right? It's where we, yes, it's a seeding, it's an inception or a conception of some sort, but it is the end of the old cycle, right? So we're starting again from ground zero, but a new moon is a dark moon. That Ten of Swords with the Temperance card then suggests to me that not only is this healing profound, but it's also complete. And for some of you, this may even show up on a very physical or visceral level, especially if you've been going through the process of a physical healing journey in some regard. I love this. And I also love this for those of you that have had financial or domestic issues. This is where you're going to see a big shift start to take place. And I think a big part of this is because your spiritual self comes back into more of a sense of alignment. All right. Love this. So on the 18th of the month, Jupiter and Uranus are coming into a conjunction. This is a big deal for a few reasons. They've been flirting with each other throughout this sign for the last sort of better part of 11 months, right? There's not long to go, because on the 26th of May, Jupiter will move out of the sign of Taurus and into the sign of Gemini. Now, the reason this is important is Jupiter conjunct Uranus is a once in 14-year transit, and it is not going to happen in this space of the sky in any of our lifetimes. Unless you're born on this very day, you will probably never see this transit specifically again in your lifetime. That's why this is such a big deal. Now, it's a shame that Mercury is retrograde in the sky at the time. Wonderful for those of you that were born under a Mercury retrograde. But we'll take what we can get. This is a manifesting moment, right? This is where you can manifest. This is where you can set your intentions, but you don't step onto, right? You don't step onto or into the thing in the real world just yet. This is where you really do the mind and the spirit work. You connect to Jupiter, Lord of abundance, growth and blessings. I lay myself humbly at your feet. Listen to me when I call to you, right? Uranus, great change maker that brings change, that is going to break me out of the shackles of some form of complacency. I call out to you now, right? Do whatever you can. Petition the fuck out of these planets, right? Excuse my language. I know you're lords and ladies, etc. Right, but you do what you absolutely can. This is all taking place in your 10th house. So it happens in Taurus, which for you occupies the 10th house of your career. We've all been talking about this one, right? All astrologers and, everybody's abuzz with this one because it's such a big deal. it's a little bit, right, I'm seeing this as largely positive, even if it's a little bit sort of accelerated and maybe even a little bit more intense than we expect. Jupiter for you rules your 5th house, which is occupied by Sagittarius, and your 8th house, which is occupied by Pisces. Jupiter is the ruler of both of those signs. In ancient astrology, Jupiter ruled Pisces. Uranus is the ruler of your 7th house of partnerships and relationships, right? So, a lucky, creative, and possibly financial opportunity of some sort could come up here. The Uranian element is the 7th house, right? This means that a partnership of a creative nature that focuses on your work and your social status could get really interesting at this moment in time. You've had such a concentration on the 9th house. This could be a book deal, it could be a television spot, it could be a radio or a podcast invite of some sort, anything like that. And it might show up in ways that you hadn't even expected because Uranus is involved, right? We don't really predict Uranus. We just kind of say, okay, ballpark this, right? This is a wonderful energy. And because it's such a special sort of transit, I think that this is going to be rare and auspicious. I really, really do. It's a shame that there's that Mercury retrograde, but even still, imprint the universal energy with what you would like to come from it in this sector of your life. And then step back and let the universe, the heavens, the Jupiter and Uranus do what they want to do. For this, we've got the Emperor, right, with the Page of Swords, okay, and the Ten of Cups. I mean, look, first of all, this is a contractual matter that comes to some kind of, I personally feel will be, this is a contract of some sort that will make you very happy, that will make you smile. I do have to say, right, with this mix of cards, it's seeded now, but it may not come to fruition for at least another 3 months as yet, right? So while the event itself is going to be powerful and palpable, it might not be instantaneous results. Although there's a possibility that it could, because obviously we've got Uranus involved, right? So I'm just going to say, like, give it a 3-month window to see what this is going to bring. But look, this I believe is largely positive. You've got the Ten of Cups here with the Page of Swords. That is a very happy, auspicious moment, or a moment of signing a contract of some sort that is potentially either legally binding. It may have something to do with a home, a property, some form of real estate. Interesting, because the 10th house obviously opposes the 4th house. So there's all of that going on. And also the 5th house and the 8th house implicated means that there could be a financial or a lucky break of some sort. I am totally here for this. I mean, it's one of, if I say, you know, I know a lot of people are going to be like, oh, well, this didn't happen for me and it wasn't that positive. There's always going to be Debbie Downers, right? I myself, you know, have got a lot going on in the background. I myself have had some really hard experiences of late, but I got to tell you, I am optimistic for the month of April, even though I know it's going to be an astrological shit show, if we're completely honest with each other. But look, right, I'm trusting the cards, I'm trusting the stars. What else can you do? On the 28th of the month, Mars is going to conjunct Neptune at 28 degrees of Pisces, right? So Mars conjunct Neptune. And at the same time, let's move lunar for a moment. Venus is going to be at 28 degrees of Aries. Mercury will be doing his backward dance, right? So we're going to have... where are you, Luna? You will be here, right? So the moon will be at 28 degrees of, not the whole day, obviously, because the moon moves really quickly, but Luna will hit 28 degrees of Sag. Pisces, Neptune and Mars will come into a conjunction at 28 degrees. And on top of that, Venus will also be at 28 degrees of Aries. That's a lot of Cancerian energy, right? Because the 28th degree in astrology is very Cancerian flavored. The Cancer energy for you occupies that 12th house, which means in some regard, the past is implicated. The spiritual world is implicated. Your sleep, potentially even your self-sabotaging tendencies, all of that. But the 12th house is also blessings and things that come from the ethereal realm that we can't see. Mars rules your 4th house, right? Because Mars rules Scorpio. It's the ancient ruler of Scorpio. Mars also rules your 9th house, right? Neptune rules your 8th house, which is occupied by Pisces. There's a very sexual energy up in the air for you, Leo, at this time. Listen, honey, I'm going to take it. But there's also a powerful spiritual element to this, right? And the reason I say this, the 5th house is pleasure, romance, it's sex, but it's not like, you know, the 8th house is like sex, you know, sex that leads, and it's primal and sexy and sweaty and maybe even a bit slutty and dirty. Oh God, I miss sex. Right? But the 5th house is like, it's, you know, like that when you meet someone new and, you know, you kiss each other's necks and you're holding hands, and it's that kind of like light, fluffy sex. Whereas the 8th house is more sort of like, I want to stare into your soul while I trash your bones. I know everyone's out there like, damn, Raph be a freak out here in these streets. Jokes aside, there is a very sexual energy in the air, but there's also a powerfully spiritual element to this as well, right? Just to bring it back for a moment, because the 8th house is implicated, and that's a very spiritual, it's a very occult house. Mars Neptune is being willing to die for your beliefs, right? To fight for what you truly believe at that level, and it's the spiritual warrior. This is in the 8th house. That's a lot of personal power right now. I feel sorry for the person that tries to trifle with anybody with a very strong Leo placement at this time, because the power really does reside with them right now. Keeping the emotions in check at this time, and with this one I would say probably the 2 days before the day of and the 2 days after, right? Call it a transit window instead of like an event, even though it's a lunar transit, which tends to move quite quickly, right? Channeling them into a worthy pursuit at this time might be very handy. All of this stuff happening in that, you know, at that 28th degree, implicating or indicating your 12th house. I wouldn't be surprised to hear that you have a spiritual download or an insight, or potentially even a mediumistic moment, right? Where you're speaking to a loved one that's passed, or maybe, you know, somebody else's loved one that passes, and you just happen to get the message because right now you're porous in that way. If you've got children, a financial matter or a secret around your children might come to light at the moment, and when it does, it might be more of a challenge than you're able to handle, right? This same thing with this mediumistic moment. If you're not used to having those very psychic, powerful spiritual downloads, or having loved ones pop up and be like very visceral or visual or like really potent in dreams, that shit can scare the fucking life out of you. I kid you not, right? I've had a lot of clients that have had this experience when I was younger, and this stuff used to happen to me because I didn't understand what was happening. I'm telling you, there were times where I'd like jump out of my skin. You'd be afraid to go to sleep because you're like, oh my gosh, I'm going to see this again. If you've got children, the 3 days before, the day of, and the 3 days after, keep them close. All right? I'm not saying stalk them while they go to school or whatever, but if you've got kids around the 20, let's say the 25th to the 2nd of May, keep your children close. All right? Keep a good close eye on them. Now, for this, we've got the Four of Swords. So observe at this time is your message. With the Knight of Cups, any offers that come in at this time, whatever they are, certainly on a financial level, consider them before you just say yes. All right. And then on top of that, we've got the Knight of Swords. 2 knights represents intimacy. So like I said, for those of you that are single, or even for those of you that are partnered, there's a very palpable sexual energy in the air at this time. So it could be really nice for you guys. But as I said, anything of a financial nature or even a professional nature, right now I would just consider things very carefully. All right. And then for your lunations, so on, obviously we've got the new moon solar eclipse, which I talked about, but let's see what the Human Design Oracle deck card. Oh, I already shuffled those anyway. So for this, you've got the Gate 37 and Sweetness. You might be surprised, even though this is a 9th house experience, you might be surprised at how either you're finding new what's the word? Like maybe you're having new connections that feel like tribe, that feel like family. And for those of you that are, you know, that have family, they might really come to your aid or your support at this time. And maybe that's not necessarily even in the tangible realm, right? Because it's the ninth house. It has a decidedly spiritual feel to it. And because the moon is involved in this, which obviously occupies Cancer, which is the 12th house, this could be through a mediumistic moment. It could be a loved one that's passed over. I've already had Nana come to me, and I tell you, it was just wow. Yeah, like and I've never been one to believe in heaven. I just haven't. It's not something that I believe in. But I know that's where she is. I can't explain it any better than that. On the 23rd of the month, we will have the Scorpio full moon in your 4th house of home, family, property, and real estate. And for this, you've got the gate 28 and possible. If you're looking to sell a home, this could be a wonderful moment in regards to this. If you're looking to purchase a home at this time, this could be wonderful in regards to that. Something that you didn't think was possible when it comes to family, maybe making family a tighter knit group, or maybe enhancing the familial experience in some way. Maybe you think, you know what, that lots of people don't talk, maybe they hate each other, or whatever the case might be, it's just not possible. Well, actually, this card says that it is, and this full moon, I think, is going to bring everything to the surface so that it can be sorted out, all right? It is a full moon in Scorpio after all, so keep that in mind. Outside of that, though, I think this is going to be a bloody awesome month. Now, with that said, if you would like to get your personal reading with me, you can do so on the link in the description box below. I wish you an abundance of all of that good stuff for April. Let me know how it shapes up. I'm so intrigued for all of us. Take care, and I'll see you soon.